What can we say? We are not glad to have to make this video. When we were doing research for the last 3 videos, we realized something quite depressing. Something which we would have never thought of because the topic is so obvious to us. It is basically second nature for us, which is why we never even thought of explaining this topic, but as we said, we've had the realization that being the following. People don't understand the internet. Well, yes, we did make a video about the difference between the deep and dark web. It was obvious that people couldn't tell the difference, but when the masses believe in the levels of the internet infographic and the previously covered fact videos, that is on a whole new level. These people can't tell the difference between the clear net, deep web, dark web, and the myths. So we've decided to take matters into our own hands and try to explain the layers of the internet the simplest we can. First of all, before we get into the layers of the internet, we need to make sure you understand something. All numbers used are estimates, as there is no way to count how many websites there are on any of the layers. When we say percentage, we are comparing those numbers to the World Wide Web. If a layer is 1%, that means that it is 1% of the www. The surface web or clearnet is what all of you use. The surface web includes everything shown or indexed by regular search engines like Google, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing, etc. Anything you find there such as Reddit, YouTube, Twitter or other regular websites. While the clearnet is gigantic, it is still nothing in comparison to the deep web. The clearnet makes up barely 4% of the World Wide Web. The rest is the deep web. The deep web is the largest layer of the internet. Unlike the clearnet, the deep web is all websites which aren't indexed by the aforementioned search engines. To access the deep web, you need a configured search engine. However, there are browsers which do that for you. The most popular of these are Tor, the Onion Router, and the I2P, Invisible Internet Project. Both are made to help you stay anonymous. What you do cannot be seen, but where you do it cannot. Tor has layers which need to be peeled back to find where the original signal came from, which would be your home, and I2P works with a similar system. Note, however, that you should use a VPN alongside either, as these steps are quite necessary to make sure you can browse the deep web safely. These browsers configure search engines so they can index websites ending in the suffix .onion. If you see .onion at the end of the URL, that is a telltale sign that you've accessed the deep web. Using the deep web is completely legal, as it is just a collective term for websites which aren't indexed, but using a large portion of these services is. These can be found on the dark web. The dark web is our first and only layer of the World Wide Web, which isn't categorized by how it is indexed. The dark web is categorized by legality. While it is a part of the deep web, it is not to be confused with the previous layer. While dark web links are harder to find, that is not the reason it counts as its own layer. Using the dark web is illegal. While our phrasing is vague, we mean trying to purchase drugs, hire hitmen, or even look at illegal pornography. Yes, that is the dark web. Not a nice place, but you don't need to worry about accidentally stumbling upon it. The dark web is hard enough to access when you're trying to. There's no way to find it by accident. And now that we've showed you the real layers which exist, it's time to show you which don't. If you see anyone claiming that any of these exist, please kindly redirect them to this video. The common web, surface web, and Berkeley web. None of these exist. All 3 of these are the same layer, that being the clearnet. So in a sense, they do exist, but not as they're listed. Everything is a single layer until the deep web. Just so you know, proxy is never required and Tor isn't either. A configured browser is, but that is from the deep web, not afterwards. The shorter web just isn't a thing. That is still the dark web. Closed shell system isn't a thing. This is a recurring motive in this infographic. Shit listed which doesn't exist. Just because it sounds all tech savvy doesn't mean it's real. Just so you know how we know it isn't a thing, a closed shell system is a system which isn't connected to a network. Just think about that. This infographic is telling you to not use the internet so you can access a deeper layer of the internet. Polymeric factorial derivation isn't even a real concept. In the original infographic, the OP states that they don't know what that means, and in a copied version, the poster doesn't explain what it means. Why? Because polymeric factorial derivation doesn't exist. The word factorial isn't even a real word. Level 5 and afterwards are all lies. There's no sentient female AI, there's no Warzone trying to get to level 8. Level 5 doesn't exist, and logically a gateway between two things which don't exist can't exist either. And finally, we just want to make sure everyone has this bashed into their brains: the shadow web doesn't exist. The concept doesn't even make sense. How would a layer of the internet make you anonymous? It won't, that's how. While we understand that this video was very similar to what is the dark web, we've added a lot more information to the video. Hopefully this informed you a bit, even if you saw the original video of ours explaining the dark web. Again, if someone tries to claim that any of these hoaxes are real, please redirect them to this video. If you have any questions about the layers of the internet, feel free to ask in the comment section. We will answer your questions.